It's Christmas time and Julia's asked me to make a light lunch as our children are joining us. It's very dangerous thing to do to ask a Sicilian to make a light lunch. So I'll start with some bruschetta and I've done them in the oven, and this is the marinade. I'll go and get the rest and I'll talk you through it. Both the bruschetta and the polpetta or meatballs will be in this video, how I made them. These are baked in the oven and these are done in a tomato sauce. So I'll just place over here. I will attach a little card up here for every recipe that you see, so that if you want to replicate them, by all means, go ahead. These are arancini. I made them for Santa Lucia, which was on the 13th of December. I'll put the recipe up here, of course, and these are olives from Sicily, again, homemade, and they're really, really nice. And last but not least, some caponata. I've made caponata on the channel a couple of times, and this is the traditional caponata which my daughter Gabriella, who is behind that camera, absolutely love. So I thought I'll make some more as she's here visiting. I'll taste some actually, because it's been marinating now for a few days, and a couple of days, which is ideal, and it's been in the fridge, and actually I forgot to taste it since it's been in the fridge. So let's have a look. Perfect. This is pretty much one of my last videos for this year. Between now and the new year, I'll post a few more videos. It's going to be some pheasant cacciatora style, also some calamari fried Sicilian style, and some pork medallions, which I will be concluding the year. But come the new year, I've got some plans. I'll start with some healthy eating with some soup and chickpeas, but also I've got some plans in terms of some plant-based meals. And we also got the moka video, which is doing really well, and you all asked to learn more about coffee. So I've been reading about coffee, and I will be producing a little series. So I'll show you what I've done in the kitchen, and I'll see you later. And I'll start with the meatballs. If you'd like your meatballs to be crunchier, use dry breadcrumbs. Otherwise, if you want them to be nice and soft, especially if you're cooking for children, use fresh bread. This is white farmhouse bread, or stale bread is also very good. I'm going to chop 3 slices, and I'll place them inside a glass bowl just like this, and I will apply a little milk, just normal semi-skimmed milk, just enough to cover the surface, and I'll push them down, and I'll leave this to soak until the bread has absorbed all of the milk. The choice of meats is very subjective. Traditionally in Italy, in the old days, they always used to use beef mince, and that gives you more of a steak flavour, of course. But if you want a very rich flavour, just stick to pork mince. But nowadays it's very common for Italians and Sicilians to use a 50-50 blend, and that's what I'm doing today. I'm using a blend of pork and beef mince. And ironically, that is what Bolognese sauce has, 50-50 ratio of beef and pork mince. This is Parmesan cheese. The bread has absorbed all of the milk, so I can put it in. Little trick to get your children to eat some vegetables. These are 3 bowls of spinach, which I have defrosted. I'll just squeeze the water out first, and I will place them inside. Besides adding fibre and of course good flavour, also it's good for them. Salt and pepper to taste, as always. I'm going to add 1 egg to help bonding everything together, and a generous handful of parsley. I always think that parsley is the ideal herb for meatballs, but you can also use basil if you wish, or some people actually use rosemary, something I've never tried on meatballs. Maybe I should one day. And the last job is to go in and mix everything together. Julie, can you give me the breadcrumbs from under the stairs, please?
Mm-hmm. It's either deja vu or it's one of those things that you make me do regularly. So.
Right. I've asked Julie to give me some dried breadcrumbs, as the mixture is a little bit wetter than what I would like it to be, but I've got my hands dirty. She's going to help me. Can you put a couple of spoons in it, please?
Quite chunky.
It's okay. Spoons. These are teaspoons.
Well, I happen to have that in my hand as it happens. Hang on. There we go.
Can't get the stuff these days.
You ready?
Yeah. Just a couple. So that means that you can adjust the consistency of your mix depending on how big your egg is and also the water content of your mince. So using dry breadcrumbs at the end enable you to do that. So always leave it to the very, very last job. And you can see that my paste is beginning to look considerably drier, and I'm happy that it'll be good enough for me to mix it. I think that cooking is one of the most relaxing things you can do in life, especially if you're able to listen to some music while you do it. I have to be honest, if it isn't because I was making a video, I would have some music in the background, something gentle and calming to keep me company. And making meatballs, actually here, this is how you do it by the way, sizing is entirely up to you, mine and medium, I think is one of the things I really enjoy most, because you can kind of get lost in space. I tend to listen to calming music. Julie's the opposite, she just got something blasting out generally, very, very loud. Here she is.
70s disco.
70 discos, yes. So, how do you make your meatballs? Do you make them big? Do you make them small? Let me know in the comments.
I must admit, some of the smallest or the best little meatballs I've had.
Come over here, people cannot see you.
Sorry. My sort of step nanny is Italian, was Italian, and she used to make a wonderful lasagna, and she had tiniest little meatballs, didn't she? Instead of like a mincy tomatoey sauce, so tiny little meatballs. So each time you cut into it, you would find a little meatball. They were delicious. It's possibly the best lasagna I've ever had.
How dare she knows how to hurt me.
Sorry, I just always remember that fondly, a wonderful lasagna.
She did make actually a very nice lasagna. Her name was Lina, bless her. She's no longer with us, but she, as Julie said, she was Italian. She was from Campania, southern Italy, so food is really nice. And the lasagna she used to make was very much a ragu lasagna, and she would have very tiny little meatballs cooked, fried first, and then cooked in a rich tomato sauce. Tell you what, I'll do you a deal. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to make the lasagna, and I'll cook it.
I would.
She would. I'm not sure if I'll let you try it, bearing in mind what you just said. Anyhow, back to my meatballs. I'm making a couple of batches. I will be doing one in ragu and one in the oven, so hence the 2 plates. So I'll see you once I'm done. And I'm nearly there, last couple. One more tip. My mum used to make meatballs all the time, and she would actually make them round if she was doing them in ragu with tomatoes and so on, or in the oven. But if she was going to fry them, which was my dad's favorite way of eating meatballs, she would actually do them round like this first, and then she would flatten them up and cook them almost like a mini burger. And that is because the surface of the meatball clearly is greater, and it would have cooked better if fried. So that's something that you might have never considered, or maybe you have, I don't know, but there you go, I'm sharing it with you. And I've managed to make 32 altogether, so I will have 2 batches of 16. I'll deal with the ones for the oven first. So some baking paper on top of an oven tray, a little olive oil at the bottom. The olive oil will prevent the meatballs from getting stuck to the bottom, but also it will help cooking them from the underneath, as I'm not going to turn these, and I'll just place them inside it. It might be me, but they look already nice to me, even if they're not cooked. And I'm applying a little on top so that they get some olive oil flavor also. So the oven is at temperature 180 degrees, and mine is a fan assisted, and 200 if you've got a normal conventional oven. I'll pop them in for about 25 minutes, and I'll deal with the ones on the ragu next. But the version on the hob is also very simple, and I'm not going to pre-fry anything. This is just some passata straight out of the carton. Here are my meatballs, and I'll place them inside. I've only put 1 egg in, so they will not stick to one another, and I'll finish with a little basil, and I'll bury it in my sauce, and I'll move to the hob. I've just added a tiny little amount of water inside the carton, and I'll put it in so that I don't waste any, and I'll turn the temperature on maximum, and I'll wait until they start boiling. One of the reasons why I don't do any pre-cooking is because the meatballs are very rich. You saw me making them. Cheese and parsley and egg, so they will be perfect, and they will release a lot of flavor in my sauce. The main thing is just not to play with them. So I'll put a lid on as they're beginning to boil, and I'll turn the temperature down on medium, and I will leave them to cook. I won't touch them at all for 25 minutes, similar to the oven option. So they should be ready more or less at the same time. I'll see you then. And my oven versions are ready. Oh, the smell is so good. Hey there, look. So I can't wait. I'll have to try one straight away. Look at that. Perfectly cooked. Beautiful and crunchy on the outside, and absolutely delicious on the inside. 2 more minutes and the other ones are ready. Time for the polpette in tomato sauce. I did say to you that they were not going to attach to one another, and here is the evidence. You can see they are perfect. I'll just get one out, and I'll show you what it looks like on the inside. And by the way, obviously this sauce is perfect if you want to make pasta. That's how pasta is made with polpette. So let me just cut into this, and let's see what it's like. And I did say actually at the beginning of this video, if you want your polpette to be very soft on the inside, especially using the fresh bread with milk, it's even more noticeable if you're cooking them like this. Oh, they're unbelievable. They are so different to the ones in the oven because of the tomato sauce, but also considerably softer. And it's very difficult to choose a version. They're both delicious, but I'll let the other half, otherwise I'll go wasted. So I'll move on to the bruschetta next. I've made this recipe on the channel before when it was considerably smaller, but the few people who watched it and commented, they said that was one of the best bruschetta that they ever tried. And obviously everything is down to the type of sauce you made. So I'm going to share it with you again, and hopefully you will enjoy if you make it. I'll start by chopping some cherry tomatoes or plum tomatoes, or if you like you can also use some tin tomatoes, entirely up to you. Obviously if you got access to fresh tomatoes, even better, but I've done it also using tin tomatoes in the past, and it's quite pleasant also. I'm using one of those little choppers here, which I like them because it keeps the tomatoes fairly chunky and they look a little bit more rustic. But I appreciate that not everybody might have one of these at home, so you might want to use a knife, or you might want to put them in the food processor, but try not to make them too fine, otherwise you lose that rusticness I'm talking about. And as I go along, I'll give you also the quantities, but everything will be listed in the description as always. Anyway, 500 grams of tomatoes. I also make the sauce fast so that it will give time to marinate. Garlic, 3 cloves. I've got one of those wonderful little machine, a garlic crusher. And whenever I make a bruschetta, I do actually use it. And some people, again, in the past have asked me, why do you crush the garlic sometimes and some other times you slice it, or some other times you don't bother at all? Depends on the intended use. In this particular case, I want the garlic to have quite a strong presence, so I'm crushing it, and it will dilute itself all over my bruschetta. But if I was to put the whole clove in, clearly it would release some flavour, but not as much. That's why I'm crushing it. And of course you have to have basil in your bruschetta if you want a true Mediterranean flavour. I've got here about 8 leaves, and I did actually crush 3 cloves of garlic, by the way. Next I've got 2 alternatives. I can either use balsamic vinegar or balsamic glaze, and it's also got some balsamic vinegar in it. It will make my mix a little bit sweeter and also a little bit thicker. And being that it's Christmas, I thought, why not? But in the past, I've actually also used balsamic vinegar. Followed by half a teaspoon of salt and some pepper. And lastly, I'll add some extra virgin olive oil to ensure that everything blends wonderfully together. Quantities need to be obviously enough for it to do the job, but I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons, and I'll stop, get a spoon, and I'll mix everything together now. This is very easy, of course, but before I place it in the fridge to marinate, I'll just taste a little to see what it's like. It's perfect. Don't need to add any salt or no more oil, and I'll place a little cover so that it stays confined, and it'll go in the fridge, and I'll go on with bread. And what makes this version of the bruschetta special is that the bread will also be marinated. So a new clove of garlic in a new bowl, about a quarter of a teaspoon of salt, and more olive oil. And I'll give it a quick mix, and this is ready. The choice of bread when you make bruschetta is very subjective. You can use any bread, being honest with you. But if you're able to get hold of some ciabatta, this is actually stone-baked ciabatta, even better, because it's rustic in look, also in flavour, and I think is ideal to make bruschetta. I like to cut mine diagonally, as they will look a little bit more elegant on the plate, and I try to do them about 1 to 1.5 centimeter in thickness. Also in the past I used French stick, which is filoncino in Italian, like the long bread. Again, because it lends itself to look better on the plate, and it's quite crunchy. And but again, as I said, there are no real rules. Use whatever you like. We will be using the bread today for the bruschetta, but also we will be having some caponata, so it will service two purposes. I'm applying the oil on one side of the bread first, just like this. Just tap it in. These are my oven racks, and I'm going to now turn the bread over, and I'll place them on top of the rack. And being that mine is a fan oven, the air will circulate the top and the bottom, and they'll become beautiful and brown on both sides. So I've just applied my second layer of olive oil, and now that they are on the rack and ready to go in the oven, I'll just sprinkle some Parmesan cheese on top. So this is considerably easier now, of course, as I don't have to lift them off. And my second rack is also ready. Oven is at temperature 180 degrees. I'll pop them in for about 7 minutes, not much more than that, because otherwise they'll get too hard, and they'll be ready. See you then. 10 minutes, further 3 minutes. A lot depends on the oven and also the type of bread, so you'll have to judge. But this is what you're looking for. Can you see that it's got gold color both top and bottom? So my marinade is back with me out of the fridge, and I'll just try some. Julie's laying the table. We are about to go and eat, and my son is about to arrive. So let's just see what it's like now. A little one on the top. Once again, if you go balsamic glaze available, not essential, but if you do, I would say go for it. I just drizzle a little on the top and go for it. That is my favorite marinade for bruschetta. It's got such a beautiful balance of ingredients, and although I did put 3 cloves of garlic, there is 500 grams of tomatoes, and it gets diluted, and it's absolutely wonderful. So all I've got left to do is to get the arancini out of the freezer, and then we can go and eat. See you in a little while. Keep them in the freezer, as I said when I made them, and I find that putting them inside the air fryer is really good. So I'll just place them in as they are, and I put them draw in there. I'll set the temperature. 10 minutes is good. Temperature wise, I'll go for 200 degrees, and in 10 minutes time I will turn them around for another 5 to 7 minutes, again at 200 degrees, and you will see that they will be absolutely perfect. This one, go back in the freezer. And they are nearly ready. Yeah, really crispy. I'll just get them out, and I'll show you what they look like on the inside. There we go. They have totally defrosted and they are cooked. So I'll put them on a plate, and we are nearly ready to go at the table and eat. And all I can say now is Happy Christmas.